Hi, I'm Christina O'Neill, Editor-in-Chief of WSJ Magazine. Welcome to The One with momager mogul Kris Jenner. As the final season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians airs on E!, Kris is taking the Kardashian-Jenner empire to Hulu and beyond. Last week, I caught up with Kris to celebrate her recent WSJ cover. We also discussed family and finance and what's next for the world's most famous matriarch. And now, the one and only Kris Jenner. Hi, Kris. Thanks for joining me. Let's jump right in. I recently rewatched the very first episode 20 seasons ago, the one when Kim tries to fire you. Sliding doors moment. Have you ever wondered what would have happened if she actually had gone through with it?
No, maybe that's the healthiest way for me to absorb that episode, because I just always saw myself as somebody that, she wanted in her life and needed in her life, and and as her mom and as her manager and all those things. It was just really exciting time for me to be a part of that whole new beginning for us. So I would have been devastated.
Has anyone tried to quit you since?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, Courtney probably 3 or 4 times, but and that's just a day.
What makes you such a good manager?
I think just first of all, I think when it's your child, you go over and above anything that would be required of you if you were just a proper person, getting a typical paycheck. So I think for me, I've got the advantage of just being totally dedicated to the kids and wanting the best for them, and really, just going the extra mile and spending the extra time. And I'm kind of on call 24/7, which, happens constantly.
Yeah.
And I feel like a fireman, because I'm always putting out fires all day, every day, on some level. So I think I'm good because, they're my kids. And I think I am qualified for so many different life reasons, starting
Now,
with
is it true you were a flight attendant?
Yes. I was a flight attendant, which that experience was one of the best things I ever did in my life, because that gave me just a real bird's eye view of what life was going to be like, responsibility, structure, being on time, having organizational skills, being street smart. It's all the things that I'm so proud of that I got to go through all these years later, and then that my kids learn from the experiences I had, because I shared it with them.
Yeah. And as an executive producer of the show, where do you draw the line as to what you will and won't include on TV?
Well, we don't really edit ourselves. I mean, we don't have scripts, and nobody's really telling us what to do. And no matter how great we think a day is going to go, or how far in advance we plan something, or a vacation, or whatever it may be to film, and we go through our schedules, life gets in the way. Experiences happen, things evolve, people get married and divorced and have babies, and all these things that you couldn't even imagine would happen just happen. And I think we've never really edited ourselves while we're going through the process of filming, but we definitely look at the cuts afterwards when they're put together and strung out. And there's very, very little that we ever take out. Me personally, I can speak for myself. The things I take out are things like, oh, the back of my hair looks crazy. I hate how fat I look from behind. So something silly, that's just superficial.
I imagine one of the harder moments in the breadth of your series was the relationship with Caitlyn coming to an end and having that play out episodically. What did you learn from that experience?
Well, I think one of the most interesting things that we all learned was that none of us had been through anything like that before in a million years. And we didn't know how to process that. And it was a process. It was a shock, and then it was a reality. And it was something that we had to absorb and try to wrap our heads around and learn about. And what I thought was interesting about that was, I'm sure many people who are fans of our show and watching our show weren't expecting it either, and were as confused at times and sad at times and happy at times, because there's so many different, ways to look at it, and emotional. So I think that going through it was just one day at a time. Truly, I had no experience in anything like that before. So you're just trying to understand. And then as everybody's, I'm their mom, I'm the kid's mom. And so, trying to navigate that was, honestly, hard, because I wanted to be the best parent I could be and do the right thing. And I didn't always know what that meant in that situation.
And I understand Caitlin confirmed that she'll be in the final series in the 20th season. What is your relationship like with her now?
I think it's very respectful, and she's the father of two of my kids, and so that speaks volumes.
Yeah, you've almost written the primer on blended families. I think America's learned so much from how you've kept not only your relationships positive with your partners, and obviously the girls have a very, such admiration for their dad, Robert,
Yeah.
and Kylie and Kendall. Can you tell us a little bit about just sort of your advice on blended families?
I think we all have a mentor, and we all have somebody in our lives that we look up to, that are able to show us life experiences that we can learn from. And when I was very young, I learned from paying attention and watching other couples that had managed to be the best co-parents and divorced people I'd ever met in my whole life. I was so confused. I'm like, wait a minute, why are we all at the same dinner, or what? And I learned a lot when I was really young about that, and thought, I know I'm probably never going to be a divorced parent, but if I ever am, this is,
we're having Thanksgiving together.
Yeah. So I think I had such great examples in my life. I was so blessed to have had somebody unknowingly teach me that lesson. And
it's
Robert
so interesting that you were roughly the same age Kim is now, and you were a divorced single mom of 4 kids, which is sort of a mirror experience to what she's going through. And what advice have you given her as she goes through her own divorce?
I think, listen, I was about 35, I believe, maybe a little bit older. And then, about 35, because I don't think we had Kendall until 5 years later. But I think the most important thing that I learned through my experience, both of my experiences, is that the kids come first. And I think if you keep that in the front of your mind and know that they are going to get you through, the love is going to get you through, no matter how much you're hurting. I used to put everybody to bed, and then, then I would be upset or go to my room and cry myself to sleep. But I didn't want to have a pity party, in front of the kids and listen, it can get really silly, and by silly, I mean the things that we put ourselves through and sometimes focus on, that's so unnecessary. I think you just really have to try to focus on what the priority is. And for me, even at the very young age that I was at the time, I felt like I knew that this huge responsibility was on me. because I was going to be the one that, showed and paved the way and opened up that door to, for example, Robert. He ended up coming over twice a week for dinner, spending every holiday with us, and would always be around. And I talked to him like 3 times a day on the phone. And this is
Wonderful.
before cell phones. There was no cell phone, and when we finally got a cell phone, it was like the size of a brick. So, communication and sharing photos, or all the things that we take for granted today, didn't exist at the time.
Yeah, no, technology makes it a lot easier in a way, like what you're saying, to stay in touch. And you really went above and beyond.
Yeah, it was when I look back on it now, it's wild, but I'm glad that, we got to have that relationship. He was my best friend and remained my best friend until he passed away. So I feel like just that I showed my kids that. And so with my kids, when they go through things like this in life, they'll know this is a great example of how love works.
Now, I want to go back to Ryan Seacrest, what he said in our story. He said, "You are one of the best deal makers he's ever seen." And
wow,
I'm here to pry a little more information out of you about the Hulu deal. What can you tell us about Hulu?
Well, what can I tell you? Not a lot. We're very, very excited to have this new relationship and what the future holds. There's nothing like, Hulu is owned by Disney, so we're part of the Disney family. And, who doesn't love Minnie and Mickey? So that's
and Bob Iger.
Yes, and Bob Iger. So I just think we're just so excited about the whole thing, and I think that it's a really exciting, opportunity for us to be able to do something fresh and new and fun. And they have been nothing but amazing to work with so far. It's incredible. I mean,
should we expect like a plug and play of keeping up with moving to Hulu, or will there be content like Kylie's Beauty School or Kris's Shark Tank?
Oh, Kris's Shark Tank.
I am here for the latter.
I like that. Wait, I'm writing that down. Kris's Shark Tank. All right. We haven't really nailed down the exact format yet, but we're working on it.
Well, everyone's on pins and needles to see what. So you clearly know the secret to winning a negotiation. Put us in the room with you. What is your number one piece of advice, particularly for women in the boardroom?
Well, I kind of live by my motto, which is if somebody says no, you're talking to the wrong person. And I think there's always a way for both people, both sides, to feel like they win. There's got to be a win on both sides. And I think if you can get there realistically and logically, and it's financially sound for everybody, and everybody feels like it's a great deal for them, then that's a win, because that's a great partner. I think that the first thing, rule of thumb, and listen, we've thrown a lot of spaghetti at the wall over the years and kissed a lot of frogs, believe me. And as my grandmother used to say. But I think that what I have learned is there's nothing more important than a really great partner. And a lot of people will tell you what you want to hear, but if they really aren't the right fit, then I have a much different philosophy now, which is run for the hills. There's always, calm down. Just don't do something because it's an opportunity. Do something because you think that you can really do a great job at it and it's a great fit.
And managing your family is your job, but for so many women, climbing the corporate ladder means they have to sacrifice family for work. Right. What is your advice to women about not sacrificing one for the other? Can you have both?
You can have both. I feel like you can. I think everybody is a little bit different because everybody has a different internal clock. And I think that no matter, we could say all the fanciest things in the world and give the most creative advice that isn't realistic, because at the end of the day, we women who are doing 15 things at the same time and the multitasking and the, trying to balance everything, we get tired. Like we're not superhuman. I like to believe I have all these superpowers. One of them is not never sleeping.
Yeah.
So I get up really early in the morning to try to get in the things that I can't do at the end of the day because I'm exhausted. And now that I don't have little kids anymore, there's a lot of working moms that have toddlers and people that need, the good news is they, eventually, I think you have to create a schedule and create boundaries that work for your family. Like if I was doing it now with young kids, I would use the same philosophy that I did when I was a working mom. And that was bedtimes at 7, when they were little. And that meant that Robert and I, for example, could go out to dinner at 7:30 and have a couple of hours to ourselves and see some friends and, still be in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then up again at 5, so I could work out and get all that done before kids and then carpool and then on and on. So I think that according to your work schedule and your kids' schedule, and then really having boundaries for yourself and your relationship if you are married, and then what that means to your personal life. But there's a way to do it if you just make a schedule and stick to it.
Yeah, Kim has said that she wakes up every day at 5:58 because of you.
Well, I think she wakes up earlier than that now.
Oh yeah, maybe this is.
She gets her beauty treatments done. She doesn't waste time during the day for any beauty. It's all done at night after her kids are in bed. So I look at her schedule and it'll say spray tan, 10 p.m. or, something like that. I'm like, what is happening? She'll say, Mom, do you want one? And I'm like, at 10 p.m. I'm going to sleep for 2 hours by then. Everyone knows I go to bed at 7 o'clock. What's wrong with you?
And I love what Jen Atkins said when she said she wants you to write a parenting guide called It's 6:30, Wake the F Up.
Yeah.
But I totally hear you about the scheduling and really sticking to it and carving out time for yourself.
Yeah.
If I don't block exercise or block, an hour to read, then some days I don't, and that time gets taken over by someone else.
I don't think I've ever met people say they've never met anybody busier than me. I've never met anyone busier than Kim. And I look at her schedule several times a day, but I get a fresh one every night, of course, and a fresh one in the morning because things change. And every single time she's got 2 or 3 hours blocked out in the afternoon before her kids finish school for her studying for law school. She even schedules her studying and nobody can interrupt it. It can't be changed. No interruptions, no calls. So I think it's just how focused and dedicated you are. And then I get such a sense of self-worth and satisfaction and joy out of having schedules and then actually completing what I had on the schedule. It gives me, I lay down at night to go to bed and I think, oh, I did it.
I got through it.
I did it. It's such a sense of, satisfaction, like you really accomplished something.
Now, in looking at your 6 kids' schedules every single night and every single morning, does that mean that one person requires more of your attention as their manager? Or if Kim is the busiest, would you say that Kim requires more of your kind of oversight and your strategy? Or how do you have it all sort of worked out now?
Well, first of all, I feel like I work for a different company every day. So it depends on what's going on, who's got a photo shoot. Kendall could be shooting a Vogue cover in, Mexico, and, Kim could be doing a Skims campaign in LA and, so on and so forth. So it depends on what's happening, but it pretty, I'm really, there's quite a few days it does overlap. So I'm running around town like a crazy person, but I think every day is so different. We're always working for different companies and the girls' different brands. So it changes. So it's all very equal. Everybody, needs a different amount of my time and they'll call me like, when somebody needs attention and I'm not giving it to them as much as they'd like, I hear about it.
Yeah.
So Chloe will call me and go, Mom, I need to talk to you about this. Give me 5 minutes, and focus. And I'm like, okay. So, if they really need something and it's that important, we'll stop whatever it is and figure it out.
Now, you're quite busy, but I do wonder, have you ever considered to take on anyone else in your managing portfolio?
I have many times, but it's just a question of really bandwidth. And for me, I could have a company that, has other agents and other, managing partners and this and that. But I think I have figured out the comfort level of where I am with who I have, to work with. And it just works for us the way it is. So I think I would be doing my family a disservice at this point by taking on a lot of extra people, unless I had a full-blown agency set up, and I just don't have the bandwidth for that right now.
And people must come up to you all the time asking for inspiration or tips on how they can manage their own child or their family into, some of the sort of success that you guys have had. And what kind of advice do you give to strangers?
You would be surprised at some of the people that have called me to say, what do you think, I should do about this? And it's been very, very flattering, but at the same time, I don't want to give people bad advice or the wrong advice for their certain, their particular situation. But what I do say is, to take the time to figure out what that person's passion is and what they're good at and what comes naturally to them. Because if you do something that's completely unauthentic, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be a hard road. But if you do something you love, that's natural to you, and that you just want to figure out, how can I do something I love so much and then make a career out of it, or be able to do this for the rest of my life. And I always tell everybody, have option B, always have a backup plan, because you never know what's going to happen. It's funny. I gave a speech right before COVID hit. And one of the things I talked about it was to a lot of group of influencers, and they were this terrific group of people. And I said, always have a plan B. No matter what you think is working now might not work a year from now. And now I look back
now look at us.
Like, oh, wow. This has been
plan B, the home studio.
Yeah. So I think just to always have options and interests and things that, and always be thinking. I went on a long walk with Kylie a couple days ago, and we walked for I think 5 miles, and it was just really a great outdoor thing. And I think by the time we were done, we came up with 3 new business ideas. I was like, that was a great walk, because we're like, and then we could do this. And then, so I think the other thing is to really collaborate and brainstorm with people that you can really trust, because I think that's important. You can, that old saying I used to say when I was little, 2 heads are better than 1, and it's true. You really, if you can trust someone and, you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. I always tell my kids that, because you'll always learn something.
Well, you recently embarked on your first venture that's not family related, which is Safely. Can you tell us a little bit about that partnership with Chrissy and Emma?
Yeah. So Chrissy and I were asked to be a part of this amazing opportunity called Safely. And, everything that we've gone through, we've all been cleaning like crazy. There were days that you couldn't even find cleaning products or toilet paper or paper towels. So that, I think, taught all of us a lot. And then we were cleaning so much that your entire house would smell a certain way, or it would, your hands would feel a certain way. And everybody knows that I'm a clean freak. Like, my idea of a good time on a weekend is cleaning my drawers, because it's very therapeutic.
I imagine you're the type of person who cleans before the cleaning lady comes.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Or tell them how to do it, or do it after they do it, because you're going to. So I'm always wiping and scrubbing and cleaning, and it gives me great, therapeutic vibes. So this was right up my alley, and it's all plant-based product with the most amazing smell, and it feels good. And even I was doing my counters yesterday in the kitchen, and it's such a great product. And I love the hand sanitizer and the hand soap, and there's a laundry detergent and a glass cleaner, an all-purpose cleaner, and the packaging is really pretty. I wish I had one here. I'm in Kylie's office right now, but the packaging is just beautiful, and it's so smooth and looks pretty when it's all together in your cabinet. So that makes me happy because
it's very chic.
It's very chic. So it was great fun to be a part of the entire process with them, and to do something that I think is really helpful to the world as well, and smells great. So I'm just proud.
How long have you known Chrissy? I know you know Emma from working with Chloe.
Yes, from Good American. I have known Chrissy, gosh, for years. I feel like a long time, a decade more, a long time. And they've always been friends of the family. We celebrate a lot of holidays together and spend time together. And I love John. And he was such a good sport. Did you see the jingle?
Yes, the jingle commercial was very funny.
Yeah, so that was fun. And she's somebody who's so funny and looks at life, with a giggle and a smile. And she's such a great mom, and they're great parents. So
yeah, what would people be surprised to learn about her? She's such an open book.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if they'd be surprised, but one thing I love about her is her love for her mom. Yeah. She's got
Who has a new cookbook out. We just did a feature with her.
Yes. Pepper. And I think Pepper's always in the kitchen. She's always, they love each other so much, and they're a great support system of one another. And Pepper's just a great lady, and I just love the way Chrissy is with her. It makes me want to go home and do something fun with my mom, and I'm with my mom all the time too. So yeah, it's just a nice relationship, and I love being around that positive, loving thing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing to see how much focus you put on family and valuing family.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful sort of thing to pass on.
I think it is. And I think that, tomorrow's never promised, and we have one life. And so do it with joy and love, and get through the hard times, with people that you love, hopefully. And, I think that it's so important to realize that the people around you, your family, you really have to make sure that you really tell the people you love that you love them.
Now let's talk about money.
Okay.
In our story, you mentioned that during your divorce from Robert, you had a real wake-up call when it comes to finances. A friend asked you how much your gardener was, and you didn't know the answer. And you said that was a turning point in your life. And what did that experience teach you about the importance of financial literacy?
Well, one thing that I learned after this whole situation was over was that one thing that they didn't teach me in school. They taught me about George Washington and, history and algebra, but nobody teaches you how to balance your checkbook, or how to pay attention to how to pay your taxes or deductions, or all the things that you would actually use in life, and that was really a wake-up call for me, because I didn't really understand. I understood, but I didn't know the answers. My girlfriend Shelly said, let's figure it out. I was making a budget for myself, and she goes, how much is your gardener? And I go, I don't know. And she, because I was married, I was a stay-at-home mom, but my husband did he paid the bills, and pardon me, did the bookkeeping for the family. Yeah. So I didn't ever have to worry about it, but that also meant I didn't know how much certain things were, because I never asked. We never sat down and had a discussion about, how much should we spend on, household, things or vacations this year. We just, I guess fortunately didn't have to have those conversations. We were very blessed. But I realized by putting my head in the sand, I guess, not on purpose, but basically that's what was happening, was I just didn't know the reality of how I was living and how I needed to educate myself in what life really is about financially when you are a single mom or in the future. I mean, it was such a great wake up call because I did get to learn so much. And when I am on the path to learn something, I really dig in 150 million%. So yeah, it was great for me. And then
another idea for Hulu, your masterclass on finances.
I don't know
about I think
that.
So many people aren't, like you said, they're not raised to, think like that. And now in this sort of overconsumption world, people are spending more than they make. And
yes. And, I just, I learned so much about just taxes and bill paying and credit card debt and, what percentage were you paying on interest and what card was better. And I started comparing, what was it? Car insurance policies. Oh, I just saved $500 because I put all these cars into like I would be on a tear for some of this stuff. And it was great for me.
I can't imagine you ever cut coupons though.
I did.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yes, I did.
I know you like Costco, but I feel like that's a different.
No. So I don't know if this happens to you, but every week I would get a 20% off coupon at Bed Bath & Beyond. And I had a folder for my coupons. And then Costco would send, their specials in the mail because it really wasn't online in those days. I mean, I was living in LA and driving to San Diego in my station wagon to go to a place called the Price Club, which is now Costco. It was the same owner. And I would fill up my station wagon with mops and paper towels, and you would have thought the world was coming to an end. I had so many cleaning products and all this stuff.
And it was all like a foreshadow of where you are now.
Yes, but I don't have to drive to San Diego. I can go to getsafely.com.
So can you tell us what the best investment you've ever made is? And don't tell me an Hermes bag.
The best investment. The best investment I've ever made personally is the investment I've made in raising my kids. And the best investment I've made in spending time with my mom, who's 86. Those are my emotional investments, which means so much to me. And I think that
you've had a good ROI. So no, that's wonderful. And I know that you're also an art collector. And I hear you're big on Basquiat. Do you have a favorite?
I don't. I think anything Basquiat, if you could have gotten it when he was first starting out, would have been the best investment financially that could have been made at the time. I love the artist Nara. That's a good
Gushitar Nara. Yeah.
One of my favorites. Yes. I have a great one. It's wonderful.
And you've achieved this incredible business success and financial security. I'm just wondering, like, what motivates you now? What keeps you keeping up and on?
It's really interesting how that happens when you become, because I've had times when I've struggled for sure. And when I am at the place I'm at now, I want to work even harder. It's so interesting. People used to say that, and I used to say, oh, come on, and here I am in a very blessed position, being able to, I think one thing that makes me really happy is I'm able to, and my kids are able to be philanthropic. You're able to help somebody else or personally help somebody who who really, needs help or is struggling. So that's made me the happiest, I think, in all of this journey, is being able to turn around and say, you know what, this is such a great opportunity. And I'm so excited I'm able to do this, where before I couldn't do stuff like that as much. But now in the last, 20 seasons of having this added layer of security and success, you're able to do things that really make a difference.
Well, it's wild to think that you were 52 when the show started.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And to think you're a year away from the average American retirement age, but I don't see you slowing down anytime soon.
No, that retirement ship sailed a long time ago. Listen, what they say is true. What they say is the longer you work, that the healthier you'll be, the longer you'll live. And I'm banking on that.
Well, you told Jonathan in our piece, Jonathan Van Meter, who wrote the cover story.
I love that. I love Jonathan.
Yeah, he's great. You said that you have a skincare line that's ready to go, but you're going to wait 2 years to bring it to market. Why?
There's a lot going on, and I know, Kim's working on things, and some of the other girls are working on things, and I don't know. I've always had this fantasy about what my skincare would look like. Basically, what I've been doing for my entire life since I was 18. So it's not like this big magical, secret. It's just what works for me. And everywhere I go, people go, what do you use on your skin, and what's your routine, and what do you do? And so I just kind of developed it. And I'm like, I'll just press go when I have enough time to really give it my heart and soul. But I was so happy to do safely. I thought this really deserves all the attention, because just, I don't think, I don't think it'll ever be not a great skincare line. I think there's plenty of time for that. Yeah. Optimistic, aren't I?
No, but I imagine it's quite a juggle to figure out which brand kind of gets the attention. And you obviously have a lot going on between what Kylie's up to, what Kim's up to, what Chloe's up to, what Courtney's up to. So it's probably finding the right kind of market opportunity.
Well, we definitely have a cadence, and I think that they will always come first. So if mine happens to fit in there somewhere, and, I've done all the homework, and I've done all the research, and I've done all my work. So when the time is right.
Right. Well, we're here for it.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that Kylie told Jonathan was that your best piece of advice is that while the days can be long, the years are short. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that philosophy.
Yeah. So, when your kids are growing up, Kylie started in this beauty business when she was a teenager. And she suddenly woke up one day and said, Mommy, I figured out what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I'm like, okay, announcement, and she told me she wanted to be in the beauty business, which, it takes a lot of, you have to roll your sleeves up and get dirty. It's a lot of work. And so, there are days when we don't all feel like giving 100,000%. And when my kids each comes to that stage when they were younger, and you're learning how an 18-hour day feels, and you're shooting a show, and you're doing press for that show, and you've got 3 other companies and businesses and friends and lives and a baby, and on and on and on. So I would say to her, yeah, the days are really long, but all of a sudden, 10 years goes by, and it's in the blink of an eye. And I say to them, we've been given this one life, and it goes by so fast. Oh. And I just want them to understand that and realize it, because sometimes we just don't, we're doing things and we get so busy, and it's so crazy and nutty. Every day is a long thing, and they need to learn that.
And where do you see that empire in 10 years?
Well, we'll be on Hulu. On Hulu, and hopefully, thriving and doing what we love to do, and just being exactly where we're supposed to be.
Well, you also have the grandchildren generation to tap into. So
Yes.
looking
Yes.
forward to seeing.
Yes, I know. It'll be fun to see what they all want to do with their lives. It'll be very interesting.
Well, North is potentially tapping her music
and art. Yeah, she's amazing. I mean, she's really a talented little girl. Nothing that she wants to do, she can do anything she wants to set her mind to, because she should just reach for the stars.
Yeah. So Kris, before we break, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions, similar to the ones that we ended your interview with.
Okay.
Before.
I'll try.
Okay. What is the one thing you hope your kids have learned from being on Keeping Up?
Patience.
What's the one thing you hate about being famous?
Nothing.
Who's the one person you go to for business advice?
Oh, gee. Business advice. Tommy Hilfiger.
What's the one deal you turned down that you wish you hadn't?
I don't have any regrets.
What's the one thing you wish you invented?
Amazon.
Well, it's not too late. What's the one trait you won't tolerate in a person?
Disloyalty.
Who is the one person you most look up to?
My mom.
What is the one beauty product you can't live without?
A lip kit.
What is the one designer you wear again and again?
Dolce & Gabbana. I have it on right now.
What's the one thing you do to unwind?
Probably have a glass of wine at the end of the day.
Perfect.
Makes me happy. Talk to my friends.
Cheers to that, Kris. Thank you for being such a boss and for being here with us.
Thank you so much for this whole experience. It's been so much fun. You guys are amazing. And
thank you.
I really appreciate you having me.
Thanks everyone for joining today. I hope you're as inspired by Kris as I am. Please like this video and comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to WSJ Magazine's YouTube channel.